In this video, I'm going to be giving you my top 10 tips to maximize your enjoyment during your Napa trip and make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible. I know that many of you are heading out to wine country in the near future or making plans to do so already, and I've been there a number of times and learned a lot of lessons along the way, and so now I'm going to be sharing my top 10 tips with you. My first recommendation is to stay in a central location such as Yountville or St. Helena. I know there's many good hotel options downtown, and I've enjoyed those hotels as well. But unless you're going to be doing most of your tasting close to downtown, such as in Carneros or Stag's Leap, you could easily spend a great amount of your time on the road. From downtown Napa to Calistoga, it's 45 minutes, one direction, if there's no traffic. And so if you're going to be tasting in St. Helena and Calistoga and eating dinner in Yountville, it's definitely much more convenient to stay in a central location. My second tip to maximize your enjoyment during your Napa trip is to not try to do too much. I know it's tempting to try to visit as many places as possible and squeeze in as many visits as you can, including a lot of tasting rooms and drop-in visits, but I definitely don't recommend that. I found that it works best to focus on quality over quantity, and I do this personally by having one visit in the morning and then 2 visits in the afternoon. I tend to prefer the special experiences such as library tastings or other visits with someone who can tell you a lot of information about the production of the wine, give you a tour of the winemaking facilities, things of that nature. I've even attended a couple really interesting tastings where you can do things like try to create your own blend from various components such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and so on. So I found those to be a much better use of my time than trying to see how many tasting rooms I can visit in one single day. This is especially true because the visits take longer than you think, and driving around from place to place also takes much longer than you think, especially if traffic is busy, and so it's definitely important not to try to cram too much into a single day. My third tip to maximize your enjoyment during your Napa trip is to cluster your appointments geographically. This is absolutely crucial, primarily for the reasons that I've already mentioned about how far it is from one part of Napa to the other. And so what I like to do is I'll schedule one day, for example, when I'll be on Howell Mountain, another day when I'm in the valley and I'm going to Oakville and Rutherford and kind of in that central location. Maybe do another day where you're closer to downtown and you do Stag's Leap and perhaps Carneros. You could do another day where you're in St. Helena and maybe go up to Spring Mountain after that in the afternoon. And this works great, and it helps to make sure that you can avoid wasting time driving back and forth. For those of you who are not used to drinking robust red wines like Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa in the morning, one thing I found works well when I'm with people who aren't used to that is to do the sparkling wine tastings in the morning. It's always much easier to enjoy sparkling wines before noon than it is a heavy red wine. And there's a couple great options like Schramsberg that I enjoy very much. Schramsberg is a particularly good option because you can actually get a tour of the production facilities and learn how they make their sparkling wine. And so I've enjoyed that one quite a bit. My fifth tip to enjoy your Napa experience is to start planning early. Especially now, when all the wineries are not open or at full capacity, it's important that you get your reservations in early because there's fewer places open and there's much more demand for those appointments. Also, there's a lot of pent-up demand generally, and a lot of people are going to be flooding back to Napa, especially during the summer and then the fall during harvest, which is always a very popular peak time to visit Napa. I also recommend going during the off-season because it's always easier to get appointments when there's not as many people around. And what this means is that December, January, February, and March are all great months to visit. If you do go during a busier season, I would recommend going during the week rather than the weekend, because on the weekend you get a lot of people who are in San Francisco and other places within driving distance who will visit just for the weekend. My sixth tip to enjoy your Napa experience is be sure to drink plenty of water and buy a case of water to keep in the car with you so you can drink it all day long and stay hydrated. Another thing I found to be useful is that I'll skip wine at lunch. And so with one appointment in the morning and more in the afternoon and most of the time dinners as well, I found that that allows me to rehydrate and make sure that I'm ready to go in the afternoon. My seventh tip for enjoying your Napa experience is to keep a list of about 3 or 4 tasting rooms handy to understand the general location in which each of those are located. That way, if you do get a break in your schedule, you can make it over to one of these tasting rooms that are located nearby. I found that works extremely well also. Tip number 8 is to be careful about signing up for too many wine clubs and mailing lists. I can almost guarantee that during every visit, if the people who are helping you are doing their jobs, you're going to be hearing a presentation or given a form at least to review that will allow you to sign up for either a mailing list or a wine club. What I like to do is collect those and then wait until the end of the trip after you have more context and you can consider all of the places that you visited throughout the entire trip and then make some informed decisions about a couple of them. I know a lot of people who have gotten carried away with that and then they end up getting pummeled with recurring shipments for the months and years to follow. My 9th tip for enjoying your Napa experience is to consider the time zone. Certainly for those of you who are in the central time zone or on the East Coast, there's a big, huge difference in time zone with Pacific time. Typically when I'm there, I end up going to bed early and then waking up very early as well. I often, in fact, just stay on my same schedule, probably asleep by 10 and up by maybe 5 or 6 a.m. But this works well because you can actually clear out a lot of things in the morning and get a workout in before you start your tastings, even if you do a morning tasting. It also means, however, that you should be making your dinner reservations early on rather than during prime time. So I oftentimes make dinner reservations around 6 o'clock. This also works well because those reservations are easier to come by, and so it works pretty well if you're on the East Coast in the central time zone to book those 6 o'clock dinner reservations. I definitely wouldn't take the 9 o'clock reservation if you're from the East Coast. You could have a very, very late night. To make sure you take some downtime and soak it all in. Don't be in such a hurry to rush from place to place and reservation to reservation that you don't just relax and enjoy it. I've often found that one good way to do this is to just grab a bottle of wine or two and then sit down with your friends and enjoy it at the hotel rather than doing exclusively tastings. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next one. I come out with weekly wine videos. Until then, drink well.